Imagine standing in the desert. Rising from the sands is the Great Pyramid of Giza. For thousands of years it has stood here. We look at these pyramids and ask how. How did a people with no iron tools or modern machinery build something so vast? It seems almost impossible. Perhaps the answer lies not in magic, but in human ingenuity, dedication, and hard work. The story of the pyramids is a human story. This is the story we are going to explore. The story of how the Great Pyramids were really built. To understand the pyramids, we must understand the people who built them over 4,500 years ago. This was a land shaped by the Nile. For the ancient Egyptians, death was not the end, but a journey to the afterlife. They perfected mummification and built safe places for the spirit, like pyramids, reflecting the pharaoh's power. The pyramid's shape is deeply symbolic, a stairway for the pharaoh's soul to the heavens. Building a pyramid was an act of faith, ensuring cosmic stability and their own prosperity. This belief motivated thousands to devote years to raising a mountain for their king. For centuries, we thought of the pyramids simply as giant tombs. Impressive, certainly, but tombs nonetheless. We imagined them as lonely structures in the desert, filled with treasure and curses, waiting for brave explorers to uncover their secrets. This image, popularized by films and stories, is a powerful one. It captures some of the romance and danger associated with these ancient wonders. However, this view is incomplete. It misses a crucial part of the story. The pyramids were not isolated monuments. They were the heart of a vast and bustling complex of buildings, a true city of the dead. Imagine the Great Pyramid not on its own, but as the centerpiece of a huge sacred landscape. At its base, there would have been a mortuary temple. Here, priests would have performed daily rituals, leaving offerings of food and drink for the spirit of the deceased pharaoh. This was a place of worship, humming with activity long after the king was buried. Leading away from this temple was a long, covered causeway, like a grand corridor. This causeway would have connected the pyramid complex to another temple down by the edge of the Nile, a valley temple that acted as a grand entrance to the entire sacred site. Around the main pyramid, smaller pyramids were built for the pharaoh's queens. There were also hundreds of mastabas, which are flat-roofed rectangular tombs. These were for other members of the royal family and high-ranking officials who wanted to be buried close to their king, hoping to share in his eternal life. This whole area was a carefully planned necropolis, a city laid out with streets and structures, all aligned with incredible astronomical precision. It was a place where the living came to honor the dead, a bridge between this world and the next. It was a dynamic, living part of the Egyptian landscape for centuries. So, when we talk about how the pyramids were built, we must remember we are talking about more than just one structure. We are talking about the construction of an entire complex, a massive undertaking that required incredible planning and organization. The logistics were staggering. They didn't just need to build the pyramid itself, but also temples, causeways, tombs, and the housing and facilities for the thousands of workers who made it all possible. Understanding this broader context is essential. It shows us that the pyramids were not just monuments to death, but vibrant centers of life, faith, and community. The pyramid's design evolved slowly from royal tombs. Before the Great Pyramids, pharaohs were buried in simpler mastabas. These flat-topped rectangular mud brick buildings had underground burial chambers. Pharaoh Djoser wanted something more monumental. He entrusted his vision to Imhotep, a brilliant architect. Imhotep built a stone mastaba for Djoser at Saqqara, then built upwards, creating 6 steps rising like a giant staircase. The result was the world's first true pyramid. Later, kings transformed this staircase into smooth-sided pyramids through trial and error. Some collapsed, but the Egyptians learned. This was the dawn of the Pyramid Age. Building a pyramid required supreme planning. Royal architects chose the perfect site, on the Nile's west bank, the land of the dead. It had to be high ground, solid enough to support tons of stone, and near the river for transport. The base had to be perfectly level, achieved with remarkable ingenuity. Next, orientation. The pyramids align with the cardinal points with breathtaking accuracy. The answer lies in the stars. Astronomers tracked stars to find true north. This meticulous planning reveals the ancient Egyptian architect's mind. They were astronomers, mathematicians, and project managers. Every aspect was part of a grand, sacred design. The design of the Great Pyramid was not just about creating an impressive shape. It was a sacred map, a three-dimensional model of the Egyptian cosmos. The numbers and proportions used were not arbitrary. They were filled with meaning, reflecting the Egyptians' understanding of order, harmony, and the divine. The very angle of the pyramid slope, approximately 51.5 degrees, was carefully chosen. This specific angle, known as a sect, was a standard measure in Egyptian architecture. It created a structure that was both physically stable and aesthetically pleasing, a perfect mountain of stone that seemed to rise naturally from the desert floor. Inside this mountain, a network of passages and chambers was carefully constructed. These were not just empty spaces. They were integral parts of the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife. The Great Pyramid has 3 known chambers. The lowest one is cut deep into the bedrock beneath the pyramid, an unfinished and mysterious room. Higher up is the so-called Queen's Chamber, a name given by early explorers, though its true purpose is still debated. And finally, high in the heart of the structure is the King's Chamber. This is where the sarcophagus of the pharaoh Khufu was placed. This chamber was the final destination, the sacred kernel at the center of the stone shell. Leading to the King's Chamber is one of the most awe-inspiring spaces in all of ancient architecture, the Grand Gallery. It is a long, high, corbelled corridor that climbs steeply upwards. Its function is still a source of intense debate among Egyptologists. Was it simply a magnificent passageway? Or did it play a practical role during construction, perhaps as a storage area for the huge granite blocks used to seal the upper chambers? Whatever its purpose, walking through it feels like being inside the spine of some great leviathan. It is a masterpiece of engineering, designed to channel both people and perhaps the pharaoh's spiritual energy towards its final goal. The entire layout was a carefully choreographed experience. From the entrance on the north face, through the narrow ascending and descending passages, the design guides you through a complex interior world. It's a journey from darkness into the heart of the sacred. The architects had to plan this intricate internal structure while simultaneously managing the construction of the massive exterior. The passages had to be precisely aligned, and the chambers had to be strong enough to withstand the immense pressure of the stone above. This dual challenge of building a solid mountain and a hollowed-out functional interior is a testament to their incredible foresight and skill. The Great Pyramid needed a plan for the tens of thousands of workers who would build it. Alongside the city of the dead, the Egyptians built a city for the living. Recent archaeological discoveries have unearthed the remains of this lost city. Excavations revealed long galleries, bakeries, and breweries. The evidence tells a very different story than the old Hollywood idea of slaves. These were respected Egyptian citizens, conscripted for national service, contributing to a great national project. For centuries, a powerful story has shaped our view of the pyramid builders, a story of oppression and suffering. We see them straining to pull colossal stones, their bodies breaking under the relentless Egyptian sun. This dramatic image was first recorded by the ancient Greek historian Herodotus. However, modern archaeology has revealed that it is almost certainly a myth. The graves of the builders were found right next to the pyramid, a place of honor. The entire social and economic structure of Old Kingdom Egypt argues against the slave theory. The workforce was a rotating levy of Egyptian citizens, fulfilling a civic and religious duty. The pyramids were built by a nation, not by slaves. So, if not slaves, who were these people? The workforce was a cross-section of Egyptian society. It was a highly organized and stratified system, a human pyramid that mirrored the stone one they were building. At the very top, of course, was the pharaoh, the living god for whom the structure was being built. Directly beneath him was his vizier, or chief minister, the master architect and project manager overseeing the entire operation. This was the Imhotep of the Giza project, a man like Hemiunu, Khufu's vizier, whose statue shows a powerful and intelligent man, fully aware of the scale of his immense responsibility in this national undertaking. Below the high command were the skilled artisans and craftsmen. These were the career professionals, the master stonemasons, the surveyors, the toolmakers, and the artists who would carve the intricate hieroglyphs and reliefs inside the temples. These men were the elite of the workforce. They likely lived in more comfortable houses within the workers' city and worked year-round on the project. They possessed the knowledge and experience passed down through generations, the secrets to cutting stone with such precision and aligning structures so perfectly. They were the technical brains of the operation, the ones who turned the architect's grand vision into a practical reality on the ground. The bulk of the labor force, however, was made up of temporary workers. These were farmers from villages all along the Nile. Their lives were governed by the river's rhythm. For several months each year, during the annual inundation when the Nile flooded their fields, farming was impossible. This was the time when they were called up for national service. Tens of thousands of men would travel to Giza to work on the pyramid. This was not a punishment. It was an obligation, but also an opportunity. It was a way to pay their taxes to the state, to earn valuable rations for their families, and to participate in the most important religious project of their time. This system was a stroke of organizational genius. It harnessed the nation's entire labor potential without disrupting its agricultural base, which was the foundation of the economy. The annual flood created a massive available workforce, and the state knew exactly how to mobilize it. The men were organized into crews, provided for, and given a purpose that transcended their daily lives. They were not just farmers hauling stone. They were Egyptians building eternity for their king, and in doing so, they were securing the prosperity of their own world. The pyramid was built by a proud and willing nation on the move. The workforce was highly organized, divided into crews and smaller units with a clear chain of command. Inscriptions reveal the workforce was divided into the left side and right side, fostering competition. Divisions were broken into phyles, like the Great One, then smaller gangs of 20 men. Gangs had nicknames like the Drunkards of Menkaura, revealing pride and camaraderie. This system motivated teams, turning a massive task into a collective effort. A pyramid of people from the vizier to the worker managed the complex project efficiently. Life for a pyramid builder was grueling, quarrying, hauling, and shaping stone under the relentless Egyptian sun. Injuries were common. Crushed limbs, arthritis, and even death haunted the quarries. Yet workers were housed, fed, and paid in bread, beer, and sometimes even beef, a rare luxury. Archaeology shows they received medical care and proper burials, a sign of respect for their sacrifice. Their work was backbreaking, but it was honored. They were not slaves, but vital contributors to a sacred national project. The state's support kept them strong enough to endure the daily toll. In the end, their labor-built monuments meant to last forever. Pyramid construction was a feat of organization, not just brute strength. Scribes tracked rations and quotas, toolmakers and carpenters kept equipment ready, and potters supplied essentials. A vast supply chain moved copper, timber, and food from across Egypt to Giza. Boats on the Nile delivered granite and supplies, feeding thousands of workers. Every role, from metallurgist to sailor, was crucial. The pyramids rose from a symphony of skills, coordination, and shared purpose. It was the unity of muscle, craft, and administration that made the impossible possible. The Egyptians built with simple tools: copper chisels, stone pounders, wooden mallets, and basic measuring devices. Copper chisels, constantly blunted, were recycled and sharpened by dedicated smiths. For granite, they used dolerite pounders and sometimes fire and water to crack the stone. Measuring tools like set squares, plumb bobs, and A-frame levels ensured precision. Tool maintenance was a massive, ongoing operation. Their ingenuity turned basic materials into instruments of astonishing accuracy. The battle of soft metal against hard rock was won by persistence and organization. Even today, their precision amazes modern engineers. Most pyramid stone came from quarries right beside the Giza Plateau, a key reason for the site's selection. Quarrymen marked, cut, and freed blocks using copper chisels and wooden wedges, expanding them with water to split the stone. The process was methodical, noisy, and exhausting. Blocks were roughly shaped in the quarry, then finished at the pyramid site for a perfect fit. This minimized transport damage and maximized precision. The scars of these ancient quarries remain visible today. Once freed, blocks were loaded onto sledges for the next stage. Every step was designed for efficiency and accuracy. Moving multi-ton blocks without wheels, Egyptians used wooden sledges dragged over sand. Wetting the sand cut friction in half, a trick proven by both ancient art and modern science. Special causeways, possibly paved or hardened, made hauling easier. Teams of men pulled sledges with thick ropes, creating a steady flow of stone to the pyramid. For distant stones, barges floated them down the Nile to Giza's custom-built harbor. From river to plateau, land and water transport worked in perfect harmony. The logistics behind the haul were as impressive as the monument itself. Once the blocks arrived, the challenge was lifting them. How did they lift multi-ton blocks hundreds of feet? Almost all Egyptologists agree, ramps. They used the inclined plane. The mystery is what kind of ramp. One idea, a long, straight ramp. But to reach the pyramid's height, the ramp would be over a mile long. Another theory, a spiral ramp. This presents problems for surveyors checking corner alignments. Jean-Pierre Houdin suggests an internal ramp. An external ramp built the lower third. Then, builders constructed a spiral ramp inside. This aligns with anomalies detected inside. Getting the blocks up to the right level was only half the battle. The final step was to place each stone into its exact position with incredible precision. The core blocks were fitted together well, but it was the outer casing stones that received the most attention. These were made of fine, white Tura limestone, polished to a brilliant sheen. They were cut and dressed with such accuracy that they could be fitted together with joints less than a millimeter wide. When the pyramid was complete, it would have presented a seamless, smooth, gleaming white surface that shone brightly in the Egyptian sun, a truly dazzling sight. To achieve this level of precision, the final dressing of the stones likely happened right on the pyramid itself. The blocks would be delivered to the working level slightly oversized. Masons would then carefully trim and shape the block to fit perfectly against its neighbors. They would use simple tools like set squares and straight edges to check the fit, possibly using a fine paste of red ochre to mark the high spots that needed to be trimmed away. It was a process of patient, careful craftsmanship, repeated for thousands of blocks, ensuring that the vast structure was not just big, but also perfectly formed. Leverage was the key to maneuvering the multi-ton blocks into their final resting place. The workers would have used a system of strong wooden levers to nudge and pivot the stones. By inserting a lever into a gap and having several men push down, they could generate enormous force, allowing them to make tiny, precise adjustments to the block's position. This was likely a tense and dangerous job, requiring great skill and communication within the team. One wrong move could crush a hand or foot or misalign a stone that was part of a perfectly engineered surface. The final placement was the culmination of all the work that had gone before. This incredible precision was not just for show. It was structurally vital. The tight-fitting casing stones locked the entire structure together, protecting the softer core blocks from the elements. The smooth, angled faces were also symbolically important, representing the solidified rays of the sun god Ra. This final act of placing the casing stones, working from the top down as the construction ramp was removed, was the moment the pyramid was truly finished. It was transformed from a rough, stepped construction site into a perfect, divine object, a stairway to the heavens ready to receive its king. For thousands of years, the Great Pyramid of Giza kept its secrets locked away. But there were always whispers of more. Strange legends hinted at hidden rooms. Technology gave us new ways to see, allowing us to probe the pyramid. A small robotic rover was stopped by a limestone door with 2 copper handles, a sight no human had seen before. In 2017, a huge, previously unknown void was revealed. Its discovery confirmed that the Great Pyramid has not yet given up all its secrets. While some researchers searched within the pyramid, others explored the surrounding desert. In 2013, at Wadi al-Jarf, a team led by Pierre Tallet unearthed papyrus scrolls. These logbooks belong to Mera, an official overseeing a work gang during Pharaoh Khufu's reign. The diary of Mera, the oldest papyrus found, details the transportation of limestone from Tura to Giza. It confirms the use of canals to bring boats to the Giza plateau and speaks of a bustling port. This diary brings the pyramid construction to life, documenting a state-run project managed by ordinary people. So, we return to where we began. standing in the desert, staring up at this impossible mountain of stone. The Great Pyramid is so much more than a pile of rocks. It is the physical manifestation of a society's entire worldview. The pyramid was their way of touching the eternal. It was the collective effort of a nation. The pyramid stands as a testament to the power of a shared idea. But the pyramids show us a different kind of power, the power of human organization and collective will. We are looking at the concentrated essence of an entire civilization. It is a mountain packed with meaning. Yet the pyramids still hold their secrets close. Every new discovery seems to open up a fresh set of questions, pulling us deeper into the mystery. The discovery of the Big Void is a perfect example. We now know there is a vast, hidden chamber within the Great Pyramid, but we have no idea why it is there. The exact method of how the Egyptians raised millions of tons of stone remains one of the greatest unsolved engineering questions in history. The final, conclusive evidence still lies buried, perhaps within the pyramid itself. This enduring sense of mystery is a vital part of the pyramid's appeal. It is what keeps us coming back, what drives us to develop new technologies to peer inside. The riddle itself has become a source of innovation, inspiring us to look deeper. The Great Pyramids are the last of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still standing. They have survived earthquakes, wars, and the relentless passage of more than 4 millennia. They have watched the world change around them in ways their builders could never have conceived. And yet, they remain. Their legacy is not just in their physical endurance, but in what they represent to us today. They are a universal symbol of human ambition, of our desire to create something that outlasts us, to leave a mark on the world that says, we were here, and we achieved something great. They are also a profound link to our shared human past. When you stand before them, you are standing where countless generations have stood before you, all asking the same questions. You are connected to the Greek historian, the Roman centurion, the medieval pilgrim, and the Victorian explorer. The pyramids bridge the vast gap of time, reminding us that for all our modern technology and sophistication, we share a common curiosity and a sense of wonder with our ancestors. They are a touchstone for human history, a constant in our ever-changing world, a monument that belongs not just to Egypt, but to all of humanity. The story of the pyramids teaches us a powerful lesson. It shows that the most extraordinary achievements are not necessarily the product of advanced technology, but of human spirit. They were built by people, not by slaves or aliens. They were built by skilled craftsmen, organized laborers, and brilliant managers who shared a common vision and a powerful belief. Their story is a celebration of human ingenuity, collaboration, and sheer bloody-minded perseverance. It reminds us that when people work together, driven by a powerful idea, they can achieve the seemingly impossible. They can move mountains, or in this case, build them. Ultimately, the pyramids stand as a challenge. They challenge our perceptions of the past and our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of. They challenge us to keep exploring, to keep questioning, and to never stop searching for answers. They are a monument to the idea that some things are worth dedicating our lives to, that building for eternity is a dream worth pursuing. The sand will continue to shift, the sun will continue to rise and set, and the great pyramids of Giza will continue to stand silent and magnificent, a timeless testament to the enduring power and mystery of the human journey.